For stock car fans, February is like what the month of May is to open wheel fans. A month-long celebration of speed around the high banks of Daytona allows the fans to get their fill and the drivers and teams to get set up for the big race. But before we get to the legendary 500-miler waiting at the end of the proverbial rainbow, we must first tackle the Clash. You're watching the first special event of the year in the 2018 Majors, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth tonight is Dawson Brock. Behind the scenes is our director, the Dr. Amjad Yaman, and he's using cameras provided by Ducky Beard. Dawson, even though we were here for last round, it's a very different track that's being raced on, so why don't you tell our fans about Daytona's Oval?
Located in Daytona Beach, Florida, Daytona International Speedway is a 2.5-mile long super speedway. Since opening in 1959, it has been home of the Daytona 500, the most prestigious race in NASCAR. Before Daytona, Indianapolis was the only other American oval longer than 1.25 miles. Daytona was also the first multi-use facility with its 3.56 road circuit featuring the infield and most of the oval. Today we will get to see the NASCAR Gen 6 cars reach speeds of over 200 plus miles an hour. The biggest key for drivers will be to maintain the draft and stick with the pack. Strategy will be key for drivers to get track position and avoid the big one.
Now, of course, viewers who might be wondering exactly what happens in the Clash and not sure exactly what is going on here with a race before the race, well, this is essentially an exhibition race. In the real world, this determines qualifying, and I do believe they are using this towards qualifying in the main race. However, for today, they are using all three of the NASCAR Cup cars. There you can see the Chevy, the Ford, and the Toyota. And the race length, that is actually incorrect. It is 50 laps that they are out there today, not 75 laps. It is open setups on these cars, so they can tweak them to their liking, and setup is incredibly critical around this place in terms of what kind of speed you get. We'll go to Dawson for that later. They do have one spare car, and of course there is a $100 prize to the winner, so there's more than just pride on the line here today. A nice cool $100 in the pocket of whoever comes home with the checkered flag. Now, one thing that we didn't mention on the overlay here, Dawson, is there is one expected pit stop. So about how far can they go?
Well, you're looking at about that's really rough number of about 40 laps, and this brings up a really huge topic. When do you pit? How do you pit? How do you do it? There's going to be so many guys with so many different strategies if this thing goes green. Now, I would assume that the preferred idea is going to be stick with the pack until you absolutely have to pit. And when you do that, you call up your buddies. You say, hey, teammate here, teammate there. Well, you've been running with me too. Why don't we all pit? Let's all go in as a group, because you need that group in order to go out and still maintain the pace and not lose time. It's going to be such a huge strategy key so that you don't get hung out and be the only one to pit. And then along with that, the leader is going to be using more fuel, so he will be draining fuel a little bit more than the guys who are in his draft saving fuel. Just a huge strategy, and we'll get to talk about it throughout the entire race. It should be a really, really fun race to cover today.
Indeed. We mentioned it's an exhibition race, and that means that, as I said in the intro, it is a special event. There are not points going towards the main championships in this race. This is mostly for fun, and of course $100, as I said. And drivers also getting a little bit of a chance, I would assume, to do a little bit of reconnaissance for the main race, get a feel for where they sit, get a feel for how their setups work over the course of at least a decent run, Dawson. I mean, what can they take from this with it being only 50 laps instead of 200?
Well, I think it's definitely a huge learning curve. We get to come on out and you start learning guys you can work with. Now, the only difference really is that the typical major series, it's split up into four regions. This is going to have all the regions kind of mixed together, so the guys that you race with in this race aren't necessarily the guys you'll be racing with next weekend, but you're going to learn how to work with your teammates. You're going to learn how to, maybe who has it figured out more than others, who's got the good setups, maybe where we need to make adjustments in tire wear, and then of course strategy. What's going to be the best way to get up in the front and get out of the little buffer zone of we call like in the middle of the pack where you really don't want to be in case there's a wreck. So guys are going to be figuring out all these things that hopefully they can apply in the 500 next weekend.
You briefly mentioned the tire wear. Now, it seems to change every time I come back, so I always have to check again. Does tire wear affect the lap times in here? Is there something where you could do like an undercut with it being this type of super speedway, or are tires kind of a non-issue in these cars?
I guess without giving away the secrets of, I guess, the setups, it is a big deal because, well, as a team, we've been kind of worrying about what are we doing to make these cars fast versus what the tires are going to do. The tires aren't necessarily going to scrub your time per se, but more than anything, it's going to be that maneuverability. You know, if you've watched the real NASCAR races, you see these guys getting loose and stuff. We haven't really had a problem with that on iRacing, but then again, I guess we'll see if tire wear becomes a problem. Now, if you're able to manage your tire wear, this is where I think as a team we're really concerned about it. If you can manage your tire wear, can you go into a pit stop and only take 2 tires or maybe take no tires and get that advantage over the rest of the field and driver times and driver position?
Well, the session has just started up, so to give our director some chance to get everything going, we are going to take a short break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. We'll come back to you with the green very shortly here at Daytona.
It's a question that's been asked more than it's been answered. How do you win the Daytona 500? This race is more than just man and machine. At Daytona, there's a secret to unlock. Now, some folks call this secret the draft, and others call it the air. But as for me, I call it the wind. And carried with that wind are the spirits of the legends and the gods of racing themselves. So, how do you win the Daytona 500? Ride the wind.
Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway. The Clash is now ready to go. We're just waiting for warm-up to finish, just about 5 minutes before the pace car will take off. We'll get one pace lap, and then we have 50 laps of racing for this $100 exhibition race. And you can see Chris Pence currently out there in the warm-up times, sitting in second. That's a familiar name here in the majors. But the drivers will have to worry about a few things. There are some rules that are specific to this race that they need to worry about. Of course, they have to merge onto the backstretch, or else they are going to get penalized, and they cannot pass below the yellow line during this race. You see that double yellow line there down at the bottom of the banking. Also, they must not change lanes on the restarts before they cross the start-finish line, and the lapped cars are asked to stay on the high lane when the leaders come by to lap them. So there's a few things that those not familiar with super speedway racing will need to keep in mind here, Dawson. And I'm curious, do you think it's an advantage for someone to have run quite a few of these? The guys that may be coming in aren't specialists on the oval side, and especially super speedway side, are they at a disadvantage?
I definitely think they are. I think super speedway racing, it's borderline an art. You know, understanding the draft and understanding, you know, where runs are coming it's a huge part of getting ahead and staying ahead of guys. And I think another thing is that, you know, road guys who, they're not really used to running next to guys constantly. You're going to see plenty of times here where you need to have that awareness of where other guys are out on track so you don't drift into the wrong lane or make a move at the wrong time. So I think that awareness of where other guys are is another huge factor that drivers are going to have to learn and figure out throughout the race.
You watch Jeremy Hance, name's Vomit Thunder Show. What a name. So for that team, we get some creative ones here on iRacing. Everybody really pretty much dialing things in from here as we see sometimes start to get a feel for where everyone stands. Not everybody has raced against each other yet. Remember, they're taking 14 from each of the 3 splits that they had in the heats up into this race to a full 43 cars, if I'm counting correctly here. And then they will set them to go around the high banks, doing nearly 200 miles an hour around this place. Ray Partridge sporting one of the more classic paint schemes. We tend to see these show up on the NASCAR races here in the majors. Drivers love to bring out some vintage themes on these cars, even though these are the modern Gen 6 Cup cars that they're running. Of course, you see all the various team names below there. And Dawson, that's another thing that I feel really comes into play that maybe the road guys aren't as familiar with. It is the team game in this side of racing.
Yeah, you know, you're going to see, there are going to be times where the team really matters, and there's other times where it's not going to be that big of a deal. You're going to have times where, as a team, if you're alone and you have like a set strategy on what you guys are going to do, how you're going to make them rotations and push guys at certain times, that team part can be a huge deal. I think another really big deal is if you have a team and something messes up, they can come out and help you. They can get you back to that main pack. So team racing in this pack, because you can't do it alone. If you come in here and you're alone, you're not going to be able to win it. So you need to know guys and make friends over the race.
So we watch Clinton Day practice his pit entry. Another critical part, very tricky part actually, trying to woe those cars up. A few names that I'm seeing that might want to watch out for today. Josh Wolf is known for being fast, especially in the Cup cars. Carl Burke tends to be up there and thereabouts. Ray Partridge tends to be one of the players. Jason Fleischle, of course, former champion. He has shown himself to be pretty good on the oval stuff, even though he considers himself more of a road racer. And then we can't forget the dominator last season, Blake Reynolds. He was looking good in his split before I had to leave to get ready for this one. He was up in the top 2 for much of the time that I was watching him. Any of them have caught your eye specifically, Dawson?
Well, I mean, yeah, obviously Blake Reynolds. He's a great driver. but looking through this field, there's a lot of guys. Chad Barker, he's another guy. I know him because he's on the Grizzlies secondary team. No, maybe not. Wrong guy. I think I got the wrong name there. But he's up there right now in times, and he's doing a great job with a 45.4. So far, not too bad. They got a nice little group out there. Ray Partridge, Mike Franklin, all out there racing together.
Getting some practice in. And there you see, with the checkered flag out, warm-up is now over. And we will be gridding up just momentarily for the race. They're going to take off to pit lane, and once again, going to get a chance to make sure that their setup is to their liking. Going to be very different from their qualifying setup. So your grid for today, for the Clash, is going to be on the pole. We have Blake Reynolds with Chris Pence starting in second. Mike Franklin will be in third with Matthew Thunhorst fourth, Josh Wolf in fifth, and Rob Gall starting sixth. You get to row 4, and Wayne Hutchison will be 7th, Christian Bugg will be 8th, Scott Kukas 9th, and then rounding out the top 10, Dawson, is Marcus Tracy.
Riley Blith, it's going to start 11th. Jared Morgan, the man who I thought I was talking about before, he's going to start 12th. Travis Warling, 13th. Mark Redeker, 14th. Nick Kuhn, going to start 15th. Then looking John King and Adam Young, going to start 16th, 17th. Jason Fleischle, 18th. Jamie Fluke, 19th. And rounding out the top 20 will be Ray Partridge.
And 21st, David Fiker will be next to Christopher Herlow. Then Brian McGreevy starts on row 12 and 23rd. Cordell Colon starts in 24th. Bob Beltrami, the Salami's back in it. He's going to be starting 25th. Chris Borgman will be 26th, and George Gruber 27th. Then Trevor Vavroski, a little bit farther down than we're used to seeing for him, in 28th. Jeff Stabnow starting 29th, and Clinton Day rounds out the top 30.
Very recognizable name in this series. Trevor Clement going to start 31st, then Carl Burt 32nd. Jeremy Hance 33rd, Kurt Kroom 34th. Mike Notzelman going to start 35th. Mark McFadden 36th. Joshua Kanata 37th. Eric Mickey, we saw him in a race earlier today, going to start 38th. Chad Barker 39th, and D. Palmer 40th.
And then the last of our field, Uldi Putkli and Aaron Stowe round out the field, already onto the back stretch. So they've got half the pace lap done. You can see drivers probably sitting in those cockpits, starting to think about what is going to be happening. What's their plan once that green drops? Do they try to charge to the front? Do they try to drop to the back? What is your pit strategy going to be? Where are your teammates in relation to you? What have you learned from your heat race about your fellow competitors? So many things to think about. And we'll see just that this is not a case of you put your right foot down and you steer left the whole way. There is just a lot more to oval racing and super speedway racing than people can sometimes expect. So, as the Mustang pace car peels off, green flag is out for the Clash here in 2018 in the majors. Blake Reynolds already moving himself up into first. His teammate Chris Pence slots in behind him. And in third, look at that, another teammate of theirs, Mike Franklin. As cars start to shuffle, most of them working to the bottom line. Is the high line going to take a while to come in, do you think, or will it come in at all over the course of this race?
I think it's more of who you know and who's going to be up there. You get the right guys up there and you'll be able to go fast. I think for most of this time, that low line is going to be the preferred line until you start getting checkups, guys getting runs and slowing down. If that starts to happen, then we'll see more and more guys try to take to that high side.
Riding shotgun made themselves known last season as being a powerhouse on the ovals, and you look at the top three. Reynolds, Pence, Franklin, all riding shotgun and all in the top three. After that, you've got Matthew Thunhorst slotting into fourth. Rob Gall sits in fifth. Josh Wolf has moved his way up into the sixth position with Christian Bugg down in seventh.
Josh Wolf, a really good plate race car driver. You remember in the WSU Motorsports, he was able to win that championship multiple times. He knows his way around these Gen 6 cars.
A little bit of a look up to the upside for the number 83 of Marcus Tracy, and he gets back in line. Are we going to see a lot of that, cars trying to cool the car down, ducking out like that?
We've kind of worked with that, and I think this year more than ever, you can actually push a little bit longer. And I think the factor of that is guys are having a harder time staying sucked up behind somebody, so these cars are running a little bit cooler. Now, for guys who, I think running second especially, you're going to get hot. It just seems like if you're right up next to somebody and then there's nobody else in front, that's where it gets really hot. So I think you'll see plenty of times where maybe middle of the pack, all of a sudden somebody's going to run hot, shoot to that high side, and going to be left out to dry.
Nobody looking terribly adventurous at this point. Almost the entire field is single file at this point. Just the last two cars side by side. That's Aaron Stowe and Eric Mick, and now they get single file. So your whole field in a line. Everybody, and as we say that, Beltrami, and already struggling to do a little side-by-side racing. Let's look at the replay. That was down in 23rd. Beltrami, and who else was that involved there? Did you see?
Looked like Cordell Cologne, Trevor Vafrosky all in there, too.
I understand it's a little tougher to hold your line through the tri-oval, too, which is where they were exiting. Just thought about 3 wide for a second. Whoever that was in the red and black car, I think that was that Vavrosky, I think? Yeah, that may have backed out of it there. Lap 4 already. This thing going fast. Pretty calm. You'd almost have to expect that, Dawson, because this was the top finishers in each of the heats, and this is all drivers from around the world from the majors competition coming together. So this really is the best of the best.
Yeah, we talk about this being, there've got to be a couple of situations where good guys got wrecked out of them races, but other than that, you got the top 14 out of them 3 heats. So these guys all know what they're doing. You don't get up there with a fluke. So a lot of these guys, really good race car drivers.
Right in on board with our leader, Blake Reynolds, looking back at Chris Pence. Shotgun has been controlling the pace of this race so far. You can see their wood-paneled machines returns for yet another season. Much to the happiness of our team. We've always enjoyed having a few jokes at the expense of those paint schemes. Interestingly, I do not see Adam Young up there. He's part of their team as well. He's sitting down in 16th. Down in the middle of the pack. Most everybody single file. I see someone hung out to dry up on the top side. I think that's Ray Partridge who's slipping backwards. We have a few NASCAR people on our team kind of helping us out, not just Dawson, but our expert back behind the scenes told me that you need at least 3 cars to try and make a train work on the high side. Think you can get away with 2?
We were testing that out to see, at what point what cars do you need to run as fast as the pack? I mean, obviously, the more cars you have, the merrier. 3 cars, if you have 3 guys who know what they're doing, that sounds about right. You'll be able to hang. I don't know how much you'll be able to gain, but you start adding 4 and 5, and then you might be making actual progress. I think 3 is enough to hang, but you're going to want 4 or 5, so we have another car ducking out.
We are starting to see a little bit of a split in the pack as well. 31st, Trevor Clement is starting to lose touch with Carl Burke. Right on board with Marcus Tracy right now. Other than that, pretty much that first train is 30 cars long. We have a car spinning off to the inside. That is Brian McGreevy. Off the racing line, we see no yellow. Let's see. McGreevy is all the way in the back of the pack now. We've got the replay. Oh, he got a little bit pushed out of the way here by Christopher Hurlow. Should be on after the tri-oval coming down into turn 1. Yeah, car just gets turned. The number 68 goes for a ride. Doesn't hit anything, thankfully. Fortunately, that puts him well back at the back.
and he'll probably at least go one lap down. Maybe he can catch on to that pack again and hope for a lucky dog. But boy, you know, it's the difference in speeds. It's like about 20 miles an hour from running by yourself to that pack.
Not seeing any change up at the front. Reynolds, Pence, Franklin, Thunhorst, and Gall are your top 5. They've been riding station behind riding shotgun. Really, none of the top, I want to say 10, have made any sort of drastic moves. Everybody's playing a very, very patient game. We're almost to lap 10 here.
You know, and I think as a driver, one of the strategies that we hear a lot of is just drop to the back and avoid everything. But with guys acting this calm, just running single file, you know, you feel pretty safe. A big one isn't that big of a worry. You just got to stay in line, and I'm assuming they're just going to ride it out.
Now, if you're like in the lower mid pack, do you start thinking, oh, I got to get some people to go with me? We got to start moving up front. It's only 50 laps. Or is that still plenty of time?
I mean, you know, maybe if you got some teammates around you, but I think it's that risk and reward. You know, if you're in that middle of the pack, there's a chance that you get up there and something doesn't work, and you know, you got 3 cars going, and maybe that back guy finds a hole and says, well, this isn't working, I'm dropping back in. Then you and that other guy up there at the top, you're going to cycle all the way back to the end. So it's that risk and reward, and I just don't think it's worth it right now.
As we watch this huge pack, and I think they've all gotten back together. We had them split up a little bit ago, but yeah, you can see, look at that, as we can't even get them in as wide a shot as possible to see the entire field, them all strung out. But now we're starting to see, oh, at the back, an incident starting to unfold. This is definitely going to be a caution. D. Palmer involved in it. Chad Barker. A few other cars made contact. Everybody else seemed to get away with it. Number 94 is who it started with. That was Jeremy Hance. He got bumped in the back by Mike Notzelman. There you can see the chain reaction that started out of that. Notzelman drifts up, gets hit again by the number 94. And everybody behind him trying to take avoiding action. Aaron Stowe gets a big chunk of it here, you're going to see. Oof. Actually incredibly lucky to have as little damage as he does. Gonna watch it one more time here. Well, there's Notzelman having his issues, and that's a hard hit to the right side. The 222 probably not going to be in the best of shape. 12 laps in, do we see pit stops?
I think you are right on the edge of being able to make it the entire way. I think you might.
Well, our leaders are looking like it, and they are committed. And if they come in, I expect everybody's coming in. And in fact, that looks to be the case. We got one car staying out. Jason Fleischle gambles. Wow. And all by his lonesome. He's got one more taker. Jeremy Hance stays out. You can see him there in the background. Other than that, 2 cars stay out. Reynolds is already out of his pit stall. The 3 riding shotgun cars are easily out together, playing that team game yet again.
I don't think I saw really anybody take tires, so obviously they're not too concerned.
Not wanting to lose positions potentially. Tires adding that extra bit of time to the stop that you really don't need to send you down the order. So this will put Jason Fleischle up at the front. The question is he going to regret this decision? And if it stays green, that's probably a pretty solid yes.
You know, this is an interesting choice. I think the only way that this really works out is if we have more cautions and he's able to save under the yellow flags. I think even if you have another caution here and you feel like you need to pit, well, then you're going to get shuffled all the way to the back because everybody else is good to go from here on out. So we'll see. There's a slim chance that this works out for him, but I don't know.
As they cycle back around, we'll get a better idea of what the order is as they cross the line. Interestingly, the other car that stayed out, I'm trying to remember who that was. I think it was Marcus Tracy, maybe? No, Jeremy Hance it was. Jeremy Hance stayed out. He actually got beat by the ride and shotgun cars. All three of them beat him across the line. Lights are out on the pace car. We're getting doubled up. It went single file very quickly. That high line not really coming in quite yet for these drivers. I know in the 500, the rubber going down tends to have some sort of an effect on that. But in 50 laps, is that enough time for the high line to start to come to grip in this short of a race?
Well, I think so. With as many cars as we have out here, you're going to start to see a little bit more grip. But that doesn't necessarily mean the speed. I think the reason everybody's staying on that low side is mainly because nobody wants to take that risk right away. I think now that, there is no riding until we get to our pit stops. The pit stops are over now, so I think we might see a little more action now that pit stops are over. Now you got to start making up them positions.
Maybe we'll see some teams start to work together. The ride and shotgun guys have already pulled their card on that. I see a couple of the Alliance cars up towards the front. Back there, it looks like Thunhorst is part of that. Excuse me. Is that Thunhorst, actually? Number 98. Yep, that's Matthew Thunhorst. What about Elite West? Will Elite West come to the fore? Also, can't forget Dog Bear Racing. Tend to be good on the ovals. Green flag comes out. Jason Fleischle has control. Slips up to the lead. He's going to be followed by Blake Reynolds. Behind them, the two teammates need to sort this out. They're still side by side. Low line belongs to Chris Pence. Are they going to lose their teammate, Mike Franklin, up on that high side there? I think Pence is maybe trying to check up a little bit to allow him in, or is he going to get some help? Blake Reynolds comes up to the high side, and there's all three of them. They've even got Jeremy Hance joining in up on that upper lid, and then we got three wide behind them. The number 83, Marcus Tracy, getting involved. He gets a spot that he can move up to the high side. Thunhorst and Fleischle, the two Alliance drivers, now hook up. Up on the high side, that is the car of Chris Pence, so we got a car off. It's no caution, but he drifts back up.
Ooh, Christian Bug. Oh.
And the big one erupts early. Oh my goodness. This really is the big one. This is a lot of cars. Now, where did this start? That's the question.
Check with Christian Bug, I believe he got into the wall.
Looks like Jeremy Hance was involved in it. Oh yeah, it was... So Jeremy Hance got tipped by Wayne Hutchison is what erupted. Hutchison, unfortunately, didn't wind up low enough, which meant he drifted back up onto the track. You can see him down low there as we ride from above. And poor Christian Bug had no idea what was coming. He's the one that got slammed up. You could see the results of it. Try untangling that. Watch on board Ray Partridge. Man, even just coming up with the amount of names that are involved in this. Right on board. Wow, Ray was almost just boxed in by the cars spinning in front of him.
With a crash like that, there's just nowhere to go, and it's a shame. Now, they do have that quick repair, so a lot of these cars that were involved, they're going to be spared. But boy, now that's their lifeline gone.
You never want to use that too early as we come back live. I'm going to attempt to get some names of drivers involved. Kurt Crum, Cordell Colin, Dee Palmer, John King, Christopher Herlo, Scott Kukas, Eric Mick, David Fiker, Mike Nolzelman, Josh Kanata, Clinton Day, Chris Borgman, Ray Partridge, Mark McFadden, Brian McGreevy, Trevor McGrosky, Christian Bug, Udi Putkli, Jamie Fluke, Aaron Stowe, Mark Redeker, Jeff Stabnow, Travis Worling, Chad Barker, and Jeremy Hance. I think there was more cars involved than not involved. With that, we're going to take a quick break, let these drivers try and get their free cars. We'll come back in a moment here on the Global Sim Racing channel, hopefully take you all the way to the green, or to the checkers.
It's a question that's been asked more than it's been answered. How do you win the Daytona 500? This race is more than just man and machine. At Daytona, there's a secret to unlock. Now, some folks call this secret the draft, and others call it the air. But as for me, I call it the wind. And carried with that wind are the spirits of the legends and the gods of racing themselves. So, how do you win the Daytona 500? Ride the wind.
Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway. We're in the midst of our second caution of the day here at the Clash. It's the first special event of the 2018 season in the majors. Right now, up at the front, Blake Reynolds leads. He's followed by Mike Franklin, Jason Fleischle, Chris Pence, and Matthew Thunhorst, rounding out our top five. We had our big one. Boy, did we have our big one. So many cars involved in it, but the good news is they have a spare car in this series, so pretty much most of the drivers are back out on the track. Unfortunately, we do have a few that are a lap down because of it. Dawson, now to 30 laps to go. Pretty soon we'll be halfway. The lights are out on the pace car. Are you getting nerves inside the car if you're out there?
Well, you know it's go time, and personally, I know the nerves kick in right around 10 to go and when you're up front, but yeah, it's definitely getting there.
Green flag is out as the Mustang pace car peels off. Blake Reynolds has control. This time, can his teammates get down to the low side? Mike Franklin will, but Chris Pence is caught out with Jason Fleischle underneath of him. Josh Wolf seems like he's going to give him a little bit of a boost up on the high side. They do have that upper line with a few cars still up there. Rob Gall in number 31. Wolf decides, nope, I don't like that high line anymore. He ducks down behind the 77 of Fleischle. Nice smooth start to this, not looking too shaky. In fact, most everybody getting single file farther down in the pack. A little bit of too wide racing at the very tail end of the field.
you got to remember, Fleischley's hasn't pit yet, so he may, right now, I still think he'd be short on fuel, but a couple more cautions and he might be okay.
Oh, so you're thinking he might actually go to the end?
If we have enough cautions. I mean, you got to save a lot. You're talking like 3 or 4 more.
Interesting gamble from him. Right on board with Fleischley, looking up at the 2 teammates of Reynolds and Franklin. Eventually, Pence did get down in line. He's sitting in 5th at the moment. Starting to see the teammates get close to one another. It's not just Fleischley and Thunhorse now, but we've also got Trevor Clement. Number 111 sits in 8th right now. You can see his other teammate of Thunhorse just ahead of him. They're split by the number 83 of Marcus Tracy. And this top group, we're starting to see it now. We've got a split between trains here, Dawson.
Yeah, that second train right now being led by Bob Beltrami, also known as the Salami Beltrami. You have him up there, Jared Morgan and Cordell Colon. They're sort of teammates. They're related. The teams are related, so they're trying to work that high side 2x2 though. You guys got to get situated out there. They're going to continue to lose time to that front pack.
Yeah, we're looking from on board of Beltrami right now, and I see almost no teamwork throughout this second group, and it's almost becoming 2 groups now because these 4 are breaking away from those behind him. Kurt Crum leading them.
I think, you look at what we were talking about earlier with, yellow.
We got a caution. I'm looking to see if I can find it. Looks like Christopher Hurlow, Partridge is involved in that. And this started, I want to say, Ray Partridge, Jeremy Hance. Yeah, Jeremy Hance and Christian Bug. 2 names that have been involved in incidents actually already. Although Bug was very much an innocent victim in the one prior. Let's watch from above. The 94 drift up, or is that just a racing deal?
That's tough to tell there.
Well, the bad news for the cars behind, which involved Hurlow, Warlane, Redeker, and Clinton Day, they were caught up in the mess and really had no way to avoid. I'm pretty sure a number of those, if not all of them, were involved as we watch on board Hance. I'm pretty sure they've all lost their spare cars at this point. Car winds up on its lid even. Third caution now already. It started out so smooth. Is this... Do you think drivers are getting a little bit too antsy, or is just this pretty normal, you'd say, at this point?
It's weird because it's been in the back, and typically, you say the back is the safest, but that's where all the crashes have been happening. So I don't know if guys are just not getting situated out, knowing that, well, you're in the back. I don't know. It's just really weird. I think it might be your case of road racers not with the same experience.
Yeah, we should remind our viewers who are not familiar with the majors, they imitate a number of real-world major racing events, and that crosses all disciplines. They're going to have global rallycross this time. They're going to have a dirt oval. Obviously, we have paved oval, and it's not just a super speedway. You're going to see races such as the Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte. World 600, I should say, as they're calling it this year. The Indy 500 over in the open wheelers. And then we saw earlier this season the 2.4 at Daytona, the classic 2.4, and the old IMSA cars of the Nissan and the Audi. They're going to take to the track in the Lotus 79. So really, you must be versatile. You must be able to do a lot of different things. But that sometimes means that you get drivers that are good but inexperienced.
Yeah, I mean, Blake Reynolds, yeah, he's a pro driver on the oval side. I mean, he still happens to be good at just almost everything he can drive. It's just crazy. But yeah, you need that mix. It's kind of like the IndyCar series. You know, you can be good on one side and not the other, and you're not going to be successful in this series. So it's also a team effort. I mean, you have some guys who can help you out here and there, and boy, it's just a really cool series that's been made up by Mike.
That was a bit of an understatement of Blake just so happening to be fast on the roadside. You were there. For our viewers that haven't seen it, go back and watch the Watkins Glen race of last season when it was still the Pacific Majors. Reynolds and the stock car, mind you, so still familiar, but it's on the road course. It was at Watkins Glen. Lapped every single car in the field to take the win.
I don't know what it is. The man just understands something that I guess the rest of us don't. It's unbelievable.
Something about racing cars just click with Blake Reynolds. Or maybe it's the black stripe. Who knows? All right. As the pace car is still going to have one more, it looks like, because I don't see guys getting doubled up. Or are we? No, we're not. Lights are still on. Okay, I can see them now. So what's your preference then, Dawson? Do you like having these cautions? Does it give you a chance to collect yourself, or does this interrupt the flow for you? Does this make it harder for you?
Well, there are times where you like it. You know, if you're out of that flow and you just kind of need to get reset to catch up to that pack. You know, like we saw Beltrami, Morgan, they were up there and they were kind of split away from that main pack. This restart gives you a chance to get back and maybe get connected with the pack. But you know, if you're a guy and you're all of a sudden, hey, we got something working on the high side, we're catching guys, we're passing guys, and then that comes out, it just knocks your flow out. So I guess it's a kind of a case-by-case thing. But for certain guys, I think Beltrami, Jared Morgan, this is a big thing for them.
Gonna have at least one more lap around here behind the pace car. I believe the lights should go out this time by. Seeing if we have any drivers sitting waiting for an interview. You see that we do have Adam Young. I wonder if it's too late to talk to him. Yeah, a little too late. If we get another caution, we'll bring Adam in. I know he offered to be an in-race reporter for us in the car. Adam, if you're not familiar, with GSRC, one of the commentators that we have here, he likes to get us a little info from inside the car when he can. Well, it's a good thing that the Ironman doesn't count on this one for Mark Redeker, because with him being out of the race, he was Ironman twice in the last 3 years in the Pacific Majors. Having a little bit harder time since then. He had surgery on his hands after the 2.4 hours that we had at Daytona some weeks ago. At least his hands get a little bit of a rest early.
Well, we're past that halfway point. I think now, more than ever, I think we're going to start seeing guys get a little more aggressive and try that high line.
Here's hoping it's a little bit cleaner from here on out. We've started to lose a few drivers. As you said, past halfway now on 27, well past halfway. Going to be almost about 22 laps to go. Once they hit the start-finish line, get that green flag once again. And the question that we need to start asking, that number 77 still hasn't taken his stop. Trevor Clement, I do not see a pit stop scored for him. I think those are the only two I don't see having taken a stop at all. How many more cautions do you think it'll take for them to be able to go the full way, Dawson?
Oh, boy, that's something where you love to look at what your car says or what your program says, but I think you're going to need a couple more here still.
Let's see if he gets delivered or if he's going to lose out on the risk. Green flag is out. Blake Reynolds leads the way across the line. And still we see these top three of the riding shotgun team being split up. And yet the Alliance drivers are creeping forward with each restart. Although the number 111 had good momentum and now is falling back as he's caught on the high side. Clement, unfortunately, he tries to go down, but there's a car there. That's Riley Blythe. Now he gets a hole. Slots down and gets into the train. Nice calm restart for the cars. Very much single file early on. Looks like Beltrami's going to have a challenge around the outside. That's Jared Morgan using the car, the number 50 of Cordell Cologne. They're trying to make it work, and they've given up the ghost.
I think the two cars, I think it'd just be better to ride out and wait for maybe somebody else. Maybe Beltrami wants to go.
He thought about it. So we ride on board with Morgan. Boy, when we were on board with Cologne, though, there's a lot of damage on the rear side of Jared's car. Does that not really affect you when it's at the back of the car?
Well, I think it does. Just the more I've learned about setting these things up and how much you want that splitter, or how much that spoiler in the back makes a difference, I think that little kink there does make a difference.
We'll definitely have to try and stay with this group, because if he gets out by his own, that damage could slow him down. Coming through the high banks of 1 and 2 yet again, and on to the back stretch. A very calm looking front group, all waiting patiently. This is what we've seen for much of this race from this top 15. There was a period where they were kind of shuffling around on one of the restarts. Other than that, nobody seems too adventurous. And this top group very much breaking away. The tail end of the field is Cologne, down in 13th.
Wait, Morgan and Cologne, they really want to do something, and I think, especially with Morgan, I think Morgan's car, when we talk about that damage, it's going to be fine if he's in the draft. I don't think he's a guy that you're going to want to lead that next charge up.
Well, they're the tail end of this top train. What have they got to lose at this point? And we're down to 19 laps to go.
Ooh, we have a wreck in the back. Gruber.
Ooh, Stab now involved in that. Ray Partridge looks like he just got caught up. Gruber drifted down the track. Let's look at the replay. Gruber, he got pushed around by Adam Young, it looks like. Too hard of a shove in the corner. And poor Jeff Stabnow. Wow, it's a good thing this is virtual. That was a hard hit. Let's watch from Stabnow's view. Let's hope he does not have a direct drive wheel. Oof. Wow. And for our viewers that aren't familiar with direct drive wheels, I do not say that lightly. You can snap your wrist on those things. Yeah, just got up behind him. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that, Dawson?
It's really tough because, as a car with that much momentum, you're trying to manage how hard you hit that guy in front of you. And there is a fine line, and it's, where do you get where it's too much? But, boy, that's really tough.
Well, I'm going to see if we can talk to Adam Young, but first we might have to wait for him to pit. Yeah, let's not distract him while he's taking his pit stops. He decides to come in. Wonder if he got a little bit of damage maybe from that contact. Right, and shotgun machine looks spick and span from this viewpoint as he slides into the box. Oh, he misses it. We didn't need to distract him. He is in and out with a splash and dash.
I think he maybe took his quick repair too. He had a little bit in the rear. A little bit of damage.
Yeah, I might as well use it at this point. Only 17 to go. Why don't we pull Adam in, talk to him about his perspective on what happened out there. Adam, this is Joe with the Global Sim Racing channel. You got a little involved with that last one. What were your thoughts on what happened there? Adam getting his mic unmuted here. Might not be able to do that. He might be concentrating, make sure he doesn't run into somebody. If he isn't able to get that, we'll just drag him back. here for a moment.
Uh-oh.
Hey,
I think he's trying to. There
we go. Now he's got it. All right. So, Adam, your thoughts on
Warlake's back there probably wondering what's going on right now. Okay, thoughts on what happened last time. Well, I think McFadden kind of jumped up there. Gruber, I think, had to check up just a little bit, and I just couldn't get off of him fast enough, and that's on me. And in these cars, these Gen 6s, the way they are, especially this year, it really seems like if you hook bumpers, you're going around. And that's kind of what happened. I turned him. That's no other way about it. And Gruber, if you're out there listening, man, I'm sorry.
So far, your ride and shotgun teammates have been up there at the very front. Do you think that you can maybe join them, or are you pretty stuck in this mid-pack?
Oh, it's tough to pass. We've got lightning quick setups. I'd be up there with them, too, if I hadn't screwed up my heat and Mark Martined it. But it's nearly impossible to pass. But we're going to use me as a test dummy here for something, maybe for the 500. So we'll see what we can do here in the last little bit. I mean, this is a winner-take-all kind of thing. I mean, I'm not going to put anybody in jeopardy, but we're sure going to try something here.
Well, at least you can know that for team, well, I guess there are no team points, but team pride, then I guess I should say, you guys are looking like you're going to have a good showing. Before we let you go, we got the camera on you in the car. Can you give us a little wave? Just remember, no lewd gestures.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Hi to Mom. Hi to Mom at home.
All right, that was Adam Young, who... That was Adam Young, who is currently out there sitting in the... Actually, what position is Adam in?
29th.
29th position. Solidly in the mid-pack. Wants to get out of there for sure. Lights are still on the pace car, so we have to wait one more lap to go.
You know, I think he brought up a really interesting point about how I agree with him. This year, the cars, when they get them runs, they're really hard. And if you lock bumpers, if you're not square, it's a very good chance that the guy in front of you is going to go around.
One more thing that if you don't have experience in this style of racing, probably not as familiar with, although Adam absolutely is. We should clarify that Adam has done plenty of both plate racing and the oval racing to know his way around. All right, it's getting down to it. Going to have 14 to go when we go green, I believe. Been just a little bit caution-ridden out here today, but that is much to the happiness of Jason Fleischle and Trevor Clement. Clement a little bit farther back. Fleischle up in third, though, on this restart. Going to have the low line, which is exactly where he wants to be. I'm assuming, because I know Bill likes to talk about this when we cover the short track racing and whatnot, and always wanting to be on those odd numbers when the caution comes out. I'm assuming there's just no way to game that system, right?
No, not really. Maybe in pit stops, you know, depending on how important it is, sometimes you think about it. If you look at who's behind you, who's around you, you can sometimes count cars as you go out. I know some guys do that, some guys don't, but that's about it.
That's kind of impressive if you can focus on everything and count cars.
I've heard of guys being able to do that, and it's insane, but they do it.
Somebody stick the Rain Man in a car and see what happens then, I guess. All right, as we come around 3 and 4 now, we are going to go green. Hopefully, for the last time, let's get it all the way to the checkers, boys. Blake Reynolds is going to have control yet again. He has looked very strong all race long. Don't believe he's led every single lap. But as the Mustang pace car now peels into the pit lane, Blake Reynolds accelerating once again. This time they get all three teammates up there. That looked like a coordinated start to me. Not against the rules. Drivers are allowed to talk to one another.
If you're anybody else, if you're them Alliance guys, boy, that's going to be tough to break right there. 3 cars all in the same ideology. Oh boy.
Yeah, and they've only got 2. They really need Clement to get up there. Be like a basketball game, 3 versus 3. But your top 5 at the moment are made up of teams. The lone driver up there in 6, hung up on the high side, unfortunately, is Rob Gall, and he is now going backwards in a hurry.
We got a little pack behind there. You got Jared Morgan. Looks like Cordell Colon and Trevor Vrosky all making a little line. See if they can get something started.
Morgan and Cologne, ever the optimists, trying to get this high line going. And again, it goes down to just 2 of them. They keep getting Trevor Vrosky peeking up there, thinking about helping them, but he then tries to duck down back in front of Mark McFadden. 31, remember that's Rob Gall. He was up in 6. He's all the way down to 12th now and continuing to drop. He wants to get in there. Morgan tries to lift to let him in. Not going to happen. They might lose the pack here at this rate. Little squirrely behind them with Cordell Colon. He gathers it back together, but look at them drop off the front pack.
Not what you wanted.
Doesn't always go to plan. 31's now got some help. But is he going to leave him? Yes, he is. Mark McFadden thinks better of it. Nobody's brave enough to go up high.
And I still think you're going to need 4 or 5 guys if you want to make that high side work. And I think if you look at who's going to take down the guys with Pence, Fleischle, Reynolds, I think Fleischle and Thunhorse, Wolf, they're going to have to work together on that high side if they want to make something happen.
Oh, we got one taker on the high side behind our Alliance team. That's Josh Wolf. Nobody's going with him, though. He has room to get back down. Does he take it? Oh, we got Morgan around. Yellow flag is out. Morgan hits the wall hard. Everybody scatters. I think we got away with a 1-car incident. Did we really? We had a little bit of a hit from his friend, the number 50. Wow. Great job by all the drivers around to take avoiding action, trying to get us a good onboard here. Watch Cologne, then maybe Christopher Hurlow would be a good one. Cologne just didn't estimate it quite right. Almost exactly like what we saw with Young. Is Hurlow's view of the incident?
Look at this. You can't even see what's happening up there really until you get into this turn.
Like being stuck at a traffic light behind a semi. Woof.
Wow.
Just all he could see was smoke, and it was almost instinctual. Like he couldn't see where the car went. Just dove down, basically guessing. Getting a little bit of information from the race stewards. I think that was in regards to the team starts.
Is that, are they not allowing that?
No, I think he said they are allowing it. I think that's
Okay.
a part of the game is what he said. So,
Yeah.
which makes sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
All
yeah.
right. With that, I believe we're going to take a short break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. We'll come back for the green here, hopefully all the way to the checkers at the Clash for 2018 in the majors.
It's a question that's been asked more than it's been answered. How do you win the Daytona 500? This race is more than just man and machine. At Daytona, there's a secret to unlock. Now, some folks call this secret the draft, and others call it the air. But as for me, I call it the wind. And carried with that wind are the spirits of the legends and the gods of racing themselves. So, how do you win the Daytona 500? Ride the wind.
Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway. We are getting ready to go green. 7 to go here in the Clash. The first special event of 2018 for the majors. Blake Reynolds, Mike Franklin, Chris Pence, Jason Fleischle, and Matthew Thunhorst are your top 5 out here. And remember, $100 is on the line to the winner of this race. So far, it's been Blake Reynolds' race to lose. He's been up at the front for the vast majority. But we were talking about during the break, Dawson, 7 laps to go. Are all bets off? Are we going to see that high line finally come in?
You're going to see, I mean, just as a race car driver, when you see 3 guys up there dominating most of the race, you almost don't care. You go with that high line, and you just want to, get something to happen. So I think you're going to see the Alliance guys are probably going to lead that charge. Wolf will be with them. I'm thinking even Marcus Tracy. So I think it's going to be gloves off.
All right, are they going to be able to time it again? That's the question. They've got both Alliance drivers behind them. They're going to be watching incredibly closely, trying to get on that power as soon as they do. Mustang pace car peels off into pit lane. Reynolds does not wait at all. He goes right away. Does he catch out those Alliance guys, though? They mostly stay with him. And look at that, already into line. Flying in formation, the ride and shotgun team. See both Fleischle and Thunhorst getting together. Wolf's trying to find a spot down to the inside. He's got Riley Blythe coming up behind him. Is Riley going to let him in? No, he is not. Riley wants into this thing. Behind them looks like Beltrami, and I think that's Cologne starting to work their own little 2-car train. Oh, and they come together! Beltrami! Who is that flying through the air? Is that Partridge? Nick Kuhn.
Ooh, lands on his roof.
It landed on just about every part of the car. Yeah, just wobbles down a little bit, does Beltrami. And things happen so fast here. That number 20 was up into the wall before he probably understood what exactly happened. Watch on board from Beltrami. Kuhn is on the radio and not happy. So we didn't hear very much in the way of complaints at the Daytona 2.4. We do understand the admins are cracking down on this season, so we don't expect to hear too much more back and forth between drivers. Going to watch it one more time here. Above. A few cars doing a good job avoiding a flying machine, and not the kind with wings.
Well, now you're...
Go ahead.
Yeah, now you're down. You got, what, it's going to be 2 laps to go?
2-lap sprint to the
maybe
finish,
1?
yeah. If they can just get to the white flag, they'll be green to the end. Question is, can they do that 1 lap without wrecking?
Well, I think the high line, as a rule, I was shocked that guys weren't going there earlier. It takes a while to get running. It takes a couple laps, so this, man, if I had money, Blake Reynolds is probably going to stick with this thing. But I wonder, do Franklin and Pence, do you think, since this really isn't about team, this really isn't about points, you think they're greedy and go for that $100? We'll just split it 3 ways.
There you go. Come out with an agreement. Let Blake take the win. As long as one of them gets the win, we split it 3 ways.
There you go.
He gets that extra $1. 33, 33, and 34. I guess whoever wins.
Yeah.
Appropriately, Underdog Racing gets the lucky dog. Clinton Day gonna come back around for a lap. Not that it means too much at this point. I don't think 2 laps is going to be enough for him to climb to the front. Famous last words. So
yeah, I don't know. What do you do now if you're one of them Alliance guys? This is, the second place doesn't matter. Third place, it doesn't matter. It's a fun race, and you're going for that $100.
Yeah, no points on the line. All that racers care about at this point is just who is first. I mean, there's some pride to being, oh, well, I was third, I was fourth, I was high up in the field. But for the drivers that typically finish there, they're used to being up at the front, and they don't want to settle for anything less. I think if I was in the Alliance team, it's go time. It's you get up to that high side as quick as you can. Get anybody behind you to work with you.
I think you're talking to Blythe. I think you're talking to Wolf. I think you're talking to Tracy. I'd be trying to get everybody to go, but then I don't know. Does one of them maybe go up high, then duck back down and catch up to the Alliance guys and pick up some spots? But then this will be interesting.
If the lights go off next time by, we will have a green-white checkers. Here's hoping that we will get it green all the way to the finish. And remember, if you're enjoying this super speedway racing with the majors, you get it 4 times next time around because it is the official round 2 for the Daytona 500. Of course, the international split aimed towards those over in Asia and Australia, then the European split, of course, the Atlantic split, and the one we're covering here on the Global Sim Racing channel, the Pacific split. Make sure and check out our friends over on V8's Online, over at RaceSpot and LSR TV, who are covering each of the other of the splits, just like you saw for the classic Daytona 2.4.
There's going to be plenty of racing. If you want to see some sim racing, I mean, you have the international split will be this weekend, and then you're going to have 3 other splits that'll be next weekend. So if you want to see some sim racing, it's a great time. You catch 200 laps times 4. You got 800 laps of racing.
Plenty to go around, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
As if people haven't had enough today, we're on broadcast number 5 here on the Global Sim Racing channel. We got a 6th one for today. Oh, lights are off. We are green-white checkers.
All right.
This is going to get very, very interesting, especially if we get past that white flag. Because, for those not familiar, iRacing cannot throw a yellow once the white flag is out. So from there, it's every man for himself. We were talking about those nerves earlier. You were saying at 10 to go, you know, they start to get to you a little bit. You start to feel it. What about when you have a green-white checker? What are your feelings then in the cockpit?
Boy, yeah, it's you know, it's that, oh, I have a chance to win this. Oh, there's a broadcast and people are watching. It just all kind of adds up, and I get shaky personally. So
you're not alone. I have a hard time staying calm myself. That's probably why I'm not a top driver, to be honest.
I'm sure Blake Reynolds is plenty cool. He's done this with the Peak and all them guys. He's probably fine.
He's used to the world watching. And we are into NASCAR 3 and 4. Or just, I should say, 3 and 4. I'm used to calling the road course out here where they are NASCAR 3 and 4. 2 laps to go. Can Blake Reynolds take it home? Is one of his teammates going to go around him and try and take it away from him after working so hard with him? Can the Alliance guys do anything? What about the Grizzly drivers behind them? Joshua Wolf. Pace car peels off. We'll get our answer in just 2 laps time.
Fleischle way back on that restart.
Oh, and he might lose touch with his teammate. This is not good. You can already see some cars giving a push, giving a shove, trying to get up with those riding shotgun cars. They know they can't let them get away. There's only so much ground you can regain. The number 77 just going backwards. Instead now, the top Alliance driver, Matthew Thunhorst, sitting in that 4th position. Excuse me, Chris Pence sitting in 4th position. Almost to the white flag. If they can just make it there, we are going green to the finish.
It's just going to be Thunhorst and Wolf.
White flag is out. Chris Pence is in it as well. He's got some help from Thunhorst. Mike Franklin, Blake Reynolds.
Gall
as
and
well.
Favrosky.
Thunhorst gets down on the low line. The Alliance drivers trying that high side. Nobody is willing to go. Oh, there's the number 98. He's got a charge now. He's got some help with him. Josh Wolf pushing him along. Is it going to be enough, though? It's 2 versus 3. They've got Favrosky thinking about into the back as well. I don't think it's going to be enough. Blake Reynolds has dominated this race, and as he comes to the line, he wins $100 here in the Clash, the first of the special races here in the majors in 2018. As the fireworks go off, Reynolds proves once again why he is known not just as a top driver on the oval side, but just about anything you stick him in.
Wow.
Great run, fantastic run to the finish. I was worried that we wouldn't be able to see them go all the way to the green to the finish, but that was a great race there, those last 2 laps there, Dawson.
Yeah, I was hoping maybe for a run, something to challenge them, but man, them 3 cars up there, we were talking with Adam Young, and he said these cars are fast. I mean, that just showed it. That was insane.
All right, we're going to take a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. We'll come back with the unofficial results, as well as driver interviews, and stick around because on screen you'll see all the upcoming races here on GSRC. Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway. You just watched the Clash here on the Global Sim Racing channel. And Blake Reynolds is the one who came home with the win and the $100. He had some help from his teammates, Mike Franklin in second and Chris Pence in third. Matthew Thunhorst gave it a valiant effort, but he was only able to get fourth in the end. Josh Wolf pushed him home from fifth spot. Rob Gall came home behind them in sixth, with Trevor Favrosky taking home seventh, Riley Blythe in eighth, and then Trevor Clement in ninth. Jason Fleischle did get a top 10, but he was flying through the air at the time. We missed an accident at the end of the race where he was unfortunately involved with that. Dawson?
Marcus Tracy in that 83 machine going to finish 11th. Mark McFadden 12th. David Fiker 13th. Joshua Kanata 14th. Eric Mick 15th. Ray Partridge 16th. Kurt Crum 17th. Christopher Herlow 18th. Scott Kukas 19th. And Jorg Gruber is going to finish 20th.
Wayne Hutchison in the blackjack spot with Bob Beltrami finishing 22nd. Adam Young did get a 23rd in the end. Not too bad a result for him. Cordell Colon comes home in 24th with Travis Worling behind the 25th. Brian P. McGreevy gets the 26th spot with Dee Palmer coming home in 27th and Clinton Day in 28th. Then it's John King coming home 29th and P30 goes to Nick Kuhn.
Jamie Fluke 31st, Jared Morgan going to finish 32nd, Mark Redeker 33rd, Chad M. Barker 34th, Jeff Stabnow 35th, Chris Borgman 36th, Jeremy Hantz going to finish 37th, Christian Bug 38th, Yildiz Puklis 39th, and Mike Noltzman going to finish 40th.
And then rounding out the field, Aaron Stowe, Carl Burke, 41st and 42nd. Not a good day for them. Good day for Blake Reynolds, though. Not just because he has a win, which congratulations on that, Blake, but because you've got $100 in your pocket. So which is it? Is it something for your sim rig, or are you going to go out for a nice dinner?
I'll probably just go to Raising Cane's and get some chicken.
That'll get you a lot of chicken at Raising Cane's.
Oh, hell yeah.
So the ride and shotgun team pretty much came up to the front and just never relinquished it. What is it about you guys on these ovals that you are so dominant?
Well, we had a really, really awesome set this week. I have spent many weeks putting this together for the first round of the Peak Series, and we were able to grab this set and just plug and play into the majors weather, and it worked really well. We qualified, all of us qualified in the top 3 in all of our heats, and then we were able to apply in the race, and we were able to just get that train up front.
Now, we didn't see very many long green runs. Are there any concerns about how it'll behave in the 500 if they get to be a little bit longer periods where that's straight out racing with that setup?
Well, this build, the tires aren't wearing very much with the Cup cars, so it's kind of good. Because you don't have to take tires every time. For instance, that one pit stop in the race, none of us took tires. I'm pretty sure very few guys took tires. So long run, it should drive the same. Just it probably gets a little looser as the fuel gets off, but other than that, drives the same.
Well, again, congratulations. Go enjoy quite a bit of chicken, and hopefully we'll see you at the 500.
All right. Thanks, Joe.
That was our winner, Blake Reynolds, here today at the Clash. And Dawson, I believe you've got Josh Wolf, our 5th place finisher, ready to talk?
Yeah, Josh, he was able to come up with a top 5. Granted, this was just an exhibition race. Josh, how's it going?
Wish I could have had some help from teammates.
Yeah, we saw them back there. You had Cologne, Morgan, Vivrosky. They were all. Oh, are you saying that I should have? Is that what you missed that? All right. Well, geez, I don't think I would have. I would have probably not even been up there. But well, yeah, it helped. You were with them Alliance guys though. They were kind of your teammates for a little bit.
No. I was trying to work with them, but it was just hard to really get runs going without multiple people up there, and with all of us having fairly fast setups, once you get 3 hooked up, there's really nothing you can do unless you have numbers on the high side, and we just couldn't get that, especially on that last restart.
Well, do you think it's 4 or 5 guys? How many guys do you need up there to get that going?
From practice earlier, we could get it going with 3. Ideally, if we get 4 guys up there, there's really not much you can do. You actually run faster than the main pack will run if you got that with those 4 guys up there.
All right. Well, this was a big time learning experience, I guess you could say. For next weekend, you're going to be in the European split. Is there anything big that you learned you can take away from this, or what you need to work on?
Just if you can get teammates together and hooked up, it's going to be difficult, especially if you have a good setup. So we'll definitely be trying to work this week coming up on that and see what happens.
All right. Well, and congratulations, I guess, on the 5th place finish, even though it really doesn't mean anything. Good luck next weekend.
Thanks.
All right, that was Josh Wolf. Joe, who do we got?
Mike Franklin, second place. Has to be at least a little bit disappointing, though I'm sure he's glad for his teammate. But Mike, I have to ask, were there any thoughts about trying to snatch it away from Blake?
No, not a bit. It's a team effort. It was for the team, and I was sticking with the team.
So are you going to ask Blake for any of that chicken that he's going to be going out and buying?
Well, I'm hoping maybe he'll share a little bit, and, it was I pushed him. I didn't lift it all those last 2 laps, and it never crossed my mind to even try to pass him.
So this doesn't bode well for the other teams for the Daytona 500. Does this give you guys the confidence to think that you can shut out the podium again in the big race?
Oh, absolutely. I've got a good feeling about the 500. I think, we'll have a good plan for the 500, and heck, let's take the whole top 5 and top 6 and top 7 as far as I'm concerned.
Wow, ambitious stuff from Mike Franklin. Again, congratulations on a second place out there today.
All right, thank you.
That was Mike Franklin, part of the riding shotgun team, helped his teammate to the win, and he seems quite proud of it, actually. That's kind of awesome to see that he's that selfless towards it. But we've got to close up today. We got to get ready for another broadcast. Last one of the day. Before we go, we want to thank Mike Willett and his entire team of guys and girls, I suppose, behind the scenes to help bring this thing to air. And thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. Additional thanks to Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde who provide our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of their great work. Thanks to the team today, Amjad, Dawson, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com, where you also can check us out on social media. We're on Twitter at GSR Channel or Facebook at /GlobalSimRacingChannel. The next race, we're sticking around Daytona for the 3rd time for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. However, until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.